Yeah, so what do we want to get into today?
I think we're gonna look at CSS props and what you can do with them in combination with like paused animation. It all
Awesome.
sounds terribly specific, but I have shared my screen and I hope I
Yeah.
can
So
walk you through some
CSS custom
things.
properties and paused animations. Awesome. I am here to learn.
It's very specific. So let me get you through the setup first. We have this simple div that is empty. We have this data attribute, because at some point I learned, oh, you probably should use data attributes to select things in JavaScript and use classes to style only. So I'm kind of doing that. Before we
Nice.
would call them like JS something or whatever. And I'm basically selecting this div here and appending a bunch of divs. So this is basically only filling this parent div with other divs. And I set a style that has a I variable set to it that has like which element it is. So let me inspect it. Maybe it makes it way more clear. So basically, it has this variable I 0 to 1, basically.
Okay.
Right? So that's it. That's our entire setup. And I've written some CSS, but we will mostly work in that tab for now. Is this wrap that is basically this rectangle in the middle with a nice tomato background. I think that's very Halloween-y.
Yes. Great color.
And we've set the divs to be position relatives and dark slate gray. That's also kind of Halloween-y, I guess.
Yeah.
And being the same width and height. And I've prepared a loop in Sass because I never know how to write them on top of my head. I have to look it up every single time.
I'm so glad you said that, because doing it live and being like, yeah, how do you do it again? It's awful. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so I've pasted it in already. And I've also added a keyframe, basically. But so the first thing we're going to do is have an animation. And we probably going to animate. I have this animation prepared that is empty that I call the eye. And It will take 10 seconds. So we all knew, and these are position relatives. So let's, I don't know, put or transform them, because we know this is GPU accelerated. So maybe a Reuben, because this is the width of our. So now we have set the same animation for each of these divs, and they're kind of getting slower because the default easing is called ease, I guess. So maybe we can set this to be linear. So they just have a constant speed from the left to the right, right?
Cool.
Right. So,
yeah.
So now that we have this, maybe it could be nice if they could have another animation delay, so they kind of start one after another.
It's like a stagger kind of thing
in here. And because I want a different animation delay for each of these, I'm just going to put this in this loop. Oh, maybe we don't even need this loop because we have a custom property that we can use for that. So let's try that.
Cool.
Oh, live coding is awful. I should have not done that.
No, this is great. You're doing great.
So we have this I variable, right? That's a number between 0 and 1. That won't do much, but maybe we can like multiply it by, our animation is 10 seconds, and let's multiply this by 10 seconds. And now it should like stagger, right?
Yeah.
So far, so good. I think this is all things we have done before. I don't know. I mean, personally, I haven't combined custom properties with many things for now, but I started to do so a lot. But That wouldn't be fun. So let's say that the animation play, I think it's called play state, yeah, is paused. Right. So nothing happens.
Right.
It's just still. So now there is a thing that I also always thought, oh, this is like a secret feature, but actually it's not. It's well documented. Is that when you have a negative animation delay, it kind of acts like a playhead within this animation. So by saying setting an animation delay to, let's say, -1 second, you will jump to 1 second, 1 second within this animation, right? So if we say so our animation is 10 seconds. So at the end, we're gonna be on the right, but if we say -1, we are like at 10% of the animation.
Yeah.
-2, we're gonna be at 20%. And I always thought this is a hack, but it's actually documented, and it's even in the double U3C document it's in. So I think that should work in every browser. But what we can do now is get back to our calc here and just make this a -10. And now we have like this line that's super cool. And the other thing is that since this is an animation and this has a timing function, we can play with this timing function right within Chrome and see how this will like bend the positions of all these items, right? So basically we've built like a super simple tool to like visualize CSS animations.
Wow. Okay. Wow. I was just like, that was just a switch from going from like,
you're breaking
all right.
Oh shoot! Can you still hear me? Because I can't hear you.
I can hear you. Keep going. Don't listen to me. You're doing great. Yeah, I can
see you. Oh wow! Let me remove my headphones.
No, Chad, how cool was it? Like, I don't know if I will wait for him or just talk to you.
Oh! I can hear you again.
You can hear me now? Cool.
You don't have an echo because I have removed my headphones now?
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah, so a whole chat just went, whoa! All of a sudden, like, wow. Because, like, yeah, I was, like, following it. Like, yeah, okay, I get this. And then all of a sudden, you grab the Bezier curves, and all of a sudden, boom. Like, that was just so cool. Keep going. I didn't mean to stop you. That was just, like, everyone in chat was like, wait, what? So this is so cool. Keep going.
So now basically we went from a linear thing to something we can really control with that, right? And of course we have tons of other things we can control, like the colors. I mean, we can do whatever in here, and it's kind of nice. Oh, it's kind of nice to see what you can do by just changing up this curve and see what effects it has on what kind of elements. Oh no, I didn't want to reload that frame. Yeah. So see, you can impact whatever.
Yeah, like it doesn't have to be position. It can totally be just the color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, now if we wanted to do maybe generative art, or let's call it art, but we don't know. Instead of printing out an index here, we could just say, hey, what if this is math random? And now we would have like something we might not expect. And by playing with all these properties, we could like
Oh, so
We
like the pink ones
animate,
are a bit bigger. Got
yeah, a
nice.
few gonna be a bit bigger, I guess. Or maybe we could like, does this work? Can we animate border radius? I think so.
Yeah, apparently you can.
Of
That
course, you could like have more than one index to pass in and then do multiple things, but that's pretty cool to play with it. And
yeah,
so I
there's so
think,
many possibilities here.
yeah, I think I've done enough live coding for one night, but I can show you what else is possible
Yeah,
in
absolutely,
in
please.
my other tabs. So this is like another thing I've done with exactly the same principle. So basically, all these circles have the same set size in CSS, but they're like in different places
Got it.
within the
That
same
animation.
animation. So this is all. So this is two animation. One that does the rotation of the circle, and the other one being the size of each surface. And now if we play with this Bezier curve, we can
That's so
impact
cool.
the shape of the sphere. So yeah, that would be like some kind of creative code. But I think they're also, I'm gonna close these tabs because my
Sure.
MacBook is blowing steam here.
Yeah, it's about to take off.
I wanted to do more live coding, but I think that's not
All
enough time.
good.
So
All good.
show the finished result. But you can also put this to use to do something that is useful. Oh, I didn't show in the demo. I should have that within the keyframe animation, you have access to the custom properties that you have set on the element that uses this animation. So in this case, for example, I have set, so this is basically just like a boilerplate HTML with H1, a strong tag here, a bunch of p tags, etc. And all the elements are sharing the same 10 seconds animation with a linear timing function.
Right.
But I've made it so that I've used this npm plugin that basically writes out the Bezier curve
Bezier curve, yeah.
as a CSS variable that I'm using here, right? So now changing that will just change the design. But I didn't want to have like tons of different animations. I wanted to just have one single animation. So what you can do is actually access all the animation, the properties that are set within the element that uses them, and use these as like your animation targets, as like your minimum and maximum value. Like for example, like let's say the font size here, we want to have a minimum of 0.55 EMs and a maximum of 5 EM.
Okay.
But we could say, let's find the H1 here. We could say, oh no, but in this case, I want my, I want my font width. Oh, do I have the font size set somewhere? Oh yeah. In my H1, I want the font size, the maximum font size being 8.4 rems, and I want the animation to be like somewhere here. So now you have like two things you can do. You can either tune where you are in the playhead of your animation to make things bigger, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Or you can say, ooh, what if I'm changing the target size I'm animating to?
Got it. Yeah, this is really cool. People in chat are saying it reminds them of Typetura, which is like a similar kind of setup, and just the ability to use animation for more than animation, if that makes sense, is just so cool. This is
I mean,
great.
as soon as you do something generative, it being design or like generative art, I think it's very useful because it gives you the ability to like play around with your values and see how they look, and maybe have the Bezier tool open somewhere and see how this affects your design
Yeah.
and if you like it or not, and tweak it a bit. So I wouldn't use this in production, of course, but I think if you like to design in the browser like I do, then it's a great tool to like kind of find a good direction to go to run into, and then to just make it like real CSS. But I think it's a very playful and nice way to explore your design, and I think it has a lot of potential for like generative art with CSS.
Yeah.
So yeah. So
Yeah,
basically
just
that's what I
CSS.
wanted to show.
That's great. David, thank you so much. You broke everyone's brain with that sudden grabbing the Bezier curve. The chat just exploded. Like, what? That was really cool. Thank you so much. Happy Halloween, buddy. Thanks so much for stopping by. And we got David to dress up for the first time ever. Yeah, what a high note to end on. David, that was fantastic. Chat, you were
Thanks for having me.
Chat was fantastic. My guests